And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, one of the things I like about reviewing so many different games is I get a lot of games from small publishers or unusual games, and sometimes these games are utter horrific nonsense. Actually, often they are. But sometimes you come across something very unique, unusual, and cool, even if it's in a weird way. And if I ever say that combination, like this is cool but strange and odd and unusual, it almost always comes from Japan. I don't know what it is about the Japanese designers, but they managed to make some really cool games that take you places you never thought you'd go before. And that is the way Trick of the Rails is. This is a small card game from Okazu brand. It's for 3 to 5 players. It's a trick-taking stock market game. Weird, huh? Let me show you how it works. This is a little wonky, so stay with me. There are 5 different railroad stations. Each of those, you put a start card on the board here. You're then going to take the rest of the deck, which is made up of different shares for these companies. Each share has a different value on it and has a number at the top. Those shares are shuffled, and a certain number is dealt out to all the different players, depending on how many players are in the game. The remainder are placed, you turn them face up and you put them in a row after whichever start card there is. So you can see in this case there were 2 yellows, a green, a light blue C&O, a dark blue B&O, and a New York City black card. You're then going to make the trick line. Now what the trick line is made up of is it's made up semi-randomly, where first you'll place an exchange card. I'm going to show you a 4-player trick line. The 3, 4, and 5 are all different. Then you'll place a random city, Baltimore, which is worth 30 points. Could have been New York or Pittsburgh. Then you will place another exchange card. Then you'll place the 3 train, then another exchange card, then the 4 train, then another exchange card, then the 5 train, then another exchange card, then the 6 and the all train, and then a replace exchanged share card. Woo! For each trick, one player is going to lead with a card. Each player, let's say that person leads with a PRR, a green share. Each other person must play a card of that color. If they don't have that color, they can play any card they want. Whoever plays the highest card of that trick wins the trick. Now the winner of the trick is going to do something different. If it's an exchange card, they will take that card, the winner, and that becomes a share of that company, and they will place that card in front of themselves as a share of that company. Then their card, if there is a replaced exchange share, they'll put that over here. Let's say there wasn't one of those there, then they would take their winning card and put it in the box. Everybody else puts the card that they played in front of them, and that becomes a share of that company. So in this case, the winner would have a share of yellow, 2 other people would have a share of green, and 1 person would have a share of black. If the one card is the city card, the winner takes the city card and will add it to the end of any of these rows. Everybody else who played a card of that trick, let's say that trick was a yellow one and there were 3 yellows and 1 green card played, everybody else will take their cards and add them to the end of the rows that they played them on. And then you just keep doing that. So if you win an exchange card, everyone's putting out a share in front of them. If you win the city card, you put that out. If you win a locomotive card, the winner will take that locomotive card and place it next to any of these that doesn't already have a locomotive card. So as these locomotive cards are taken, by the end of the game, each row will have 1 locomotive card in front of that row. After all the tricks have been played, players are going to then score points. The amount of shares that a player has in front of them are going to be equal to the point to how much that share is worth. So let's say I had 2 yellow shares in front of me. I'll look at the yellow share company here. First I'll look at the locomotive. All cards here count. So I count the value, 10, 40, 60, 90, 100. I then subtract the cost of that locomotive, which is 80. So yellow shares are worth 20 each. So they're worth 40. Let's say I had 2 green shares also. Here, only 3 cards count. So I'll take the 3 that are worth the most, but they have to be next to each other. Remember, when you add cards, I didn't mention this, but when you add cards, you can add them to either end of the line. but that wouldn't have mattered too much here. But we have 10, 30, 30, so that's 70, and the locomotive here costs 40. So so green shares are worth 30 each, so I would have 60 for those. And that's how it works. One of the locomotives counts 4 cards, one a group of 5, one a group of 6, but the more cards it allows, the higher the cost is. Whoever shares are worth the most is the winner of the game. A very intriguing game, and I like this game. I'll say that right up front. I think it's really neat, but wow, there's a lot of thought into it. As you play every card in a trick, you're saying, okay, I'm playing this card, and this is the stock I'm going to take. Now, sometimes you have no choice, but many times you'll run out of a color. Which color am I going to play? That's the stock I'm going to take. Or if you look at the trick, and the trick is going to add to the market, how much am I going to add to the market? Am I, how much money am I going to put in there? For the person leading off, though, there is a lot of pressure because you're leading off knowing that whatever color you lead off in, probably everybody is going to get a stock of that share. So you don't want those shares to be too strong. And it's really weird because I'm used to playing these trick-taking games where you think about all the cards everybody has, and utilizing those and cutting tricks. Here, the winner of a trick is getting a stock share or able to basically add a city to one of the things. It's so unusual. It's hard for me to even explain this, even though I've shown it to you in video and I'm talking about it now. It just feels a little mind warping. And you know what, for that matter, not everyone I played it with enjoyed it because some people couldn't get their minds around that. To me, I found that fascinating. Now, granted, to understand how the game works, now that I understand it very well, my last couple games I've been able to teach people very easily and say, now watch, this is how it works, because it was a lot simpler to understand. But those first couple games, it was just, what is going on? If you win the share, everybody puts the card in front of them as their share. If you win the city, everyone's going to put cards in there. The length of the train matters. And even that's, there's so many critical things in how this game works. It's just, to me, it's enjoyable to see this weirdness of a trick-taking mix with shares taking, and I like both those concepts. So I'm not surprised that this game hasn't been picked up by a bigger company, because I don't think this game is going to tickle everyone's funny bones, because how many people like trick-taking games and stock market games and want them smashed together? But I'm one, so I think it's a cool idea, and if it was reprinted, I think it's one that people should check out. But think carefully before you hunt this one down, because it's not going to meet everyone's expectations. But I think it's good when a game tries to go outside the expectations and do something unusual, and Trick of the Rails certainly has succeeded.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the doors!
There.